Do you want to ensure you are compelling, valuable, and trusted by the decision makers in your accounts? If so, Neil Rackham says to ask implication questions of decision makers in his book, Spin Selling. Welcome to the Bite Size Sales Podcast, where we believe that sales is the most important team in a B2B company, that the sales team deserves great sales skills training but usually doesn't get it, and that taking bite-sized steps each day to get better at your craft is the best way to improve results. I am your host, Andrew Monahan, and I'm using my experiences in B2B sales to bring you simple, actionable ideas every day to help you get better. Welcome to episode 30, and today we're going back to the classic sales book, Spin Selling by Neil Rackham, to pick out a tip for you. And this is for anyone who's been in that situation where you're starting to work with your decision makers in the accounts that you've got. Maybe you've worked your way up there, or you're tackling a new account in your territory, and you're wondering, how do I get in there and be relevant with these people? You know, you kind of feel like sometimes you don't have many shots, right? You want to make sure that if you put all that work in to get the meeting, get the call, that you really make it as impactful as possible. And I think we all intuitively know that we should be having different conversations with senior people, decision makers, versus the conversations for those of them further down the chain in our accounts. What an SVP or a C-level cares about is not the same as someone who's more of a doer, someone who's hands on the keyboard, who's actually in the field doing things in that company. But what is that conversation? What is the conversation you have with that senior person? Now, this is what Neil Rackham addresses in Spin Selling. And remember what spin means for those that this is new to. So spin is a questioning structure. So S stands for situational questions, P stands for problem questions, I stands for implication questions, and N is the needs payoff. So the situation are factual. You're trying to get problems. You're trying to understand the impact of those problems, and then you're trying to understand what the payoff is if you fix those problems. So that's what spin is all about. And to read from the book, he has a section that he calls where implication questions work best. Implication questions are particularly powerful in certain types of sale. Obviously, as we've seen, the main power of implication questions is in larger sales where it's necessary to increase the size of the problem in the customer's mind. But our research also found that implication questions are especially powerful in selling to decision makers. It's often possible to achieve a positive outcome from calls on users or influencers simply by asking problem questions. But with calls on decision makers, it's not as easy. Decision makers seem to respond more favorably to salespeople who uncover implications. Perhaps this is not surprising, for a decision maker is a person whose success depends on seeing beyond the immediate problem to the underlying effects and consequences. You could say that a decision maker deals in implications. There have been many occasions where we've been talking to decision makers after a call and heard them comment favorably on salespeople who asked them implication questions, saying things like, "That person talked my language." Implications are the language of decision makers, and if you can talk their language, you'll influence them better. So that bears repeating. Implications are the language of decision makers. You know, if you're running a company or a department in a company, you're not short of problems to work on. They're all around you. Everywhere you look, there's going to be things that are broken or need to be improved on or can be fixed and things like that. And you've probably got people in your team who are constantly bringing problems to you, but not the actual solutions to those problems. And your job as someone senior is to understand them, figure them out, the root causes, and then prioritize them so you know what needs to be done to improve the business. And your job is to make the best use of your resources in the company or in the department to deliver big outcomes. And if the problems that we're talking about affect those outcomes, then they need to be fixed. So next time you got a meeting with a decision maker, I challenge you to challenge yourself to ask about the implications of the problems. Maybe there's a quick thing to do with situational questions and problem questions, but then quickly get into implication questions to really talk their language. If this doesn't get fixed, what might happen is one good question, right? So you imagine you've uncovered a problem, you talked a little bit about it, and you say, okay, if this doesn't get fixed soon, what's the implication of that? Or what effect has it had already? What's been the effect of this problem so far? How have your results been affected by this going on for the past 2 years? Ask those types of questions and then see how the conversation goes with someone who's a senior decision maker. If you like this episode, please share it wide and far. Spread the word. I get energy from seeing people download and use this content, so please just take 20 seconds to share it with anyone you think would like it too. This episode is sponsored by Unstoppable.do. Most sales teams are not trained effectively in the skills and mindset they deserve, and these are the most important people in the company. It's no wonder that only about 50% of reps make quota every year. Unstoppable is a service that helps sellers and leaders get great at the skills and mindset they need without taking time out of the field. It exists because if the sales team has the right skills and mindset, they thrive, they are confident, and they perform much better. Find out more and even get a free sales book at bitesizesales.com. Now to wrap up, as Luke Richardson, GM of APAC at Blue Jeans Network, may or may not have once said, training without implementation is just entertainment, and pretty poor entertainment when Monahan does it. So make sure you take action on what you learn and keep getting better every day. This world does not need more sales BS, so don't create any more. Be great at the fundamentals, be honest, be real, be yourself, just do not BS. And finally, I'm signing off as the great Joe Sexton would by saying, gone to sell.